Hey, we're logging on. Setting up your meeting for Facebook Live. And I think we did it, didn't we?
There.
This meeting is streaming live, got it.
You got it.
Okay. And we're right on time. It is 6:30. I'm gonna get ready to show. I'm going to Pine Hills Community Council page. And so I can share this to my page. I'm asked to do the same thing, someone. Let me turn my, so I can share this to my page. I'm asked to do the same thing, someone. Let me turn this volume down first of all. Okay, so we are there, Facebook Live. Good evening, everyone. This is Patricia Rump with the Pine Hills Community Council, and I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight, either those that are here on the Zoom call live with us, Zoom, or those that's watching by Facebook. I want to thank you for joining us tonight, and we have a great meeting in store for you tonight. We have our Supervisor of the Election, Bill Cowles, as our guest speaker. But before we get started with the meeting, I just want to welcome everyone on this call. And let's open up with prayer and a pledge of allegiance to the flag. Let me do something right quick. So can I get someone who here to open up in prayer? Ms. Van, I see you there. Can I call on you, Ms. Van, to open up in prayer, please?
Amen.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Oh, gracious Father, we thank you for this time. We thank you for this meeting. We pray, Father, as we gather together to better our community, that you put us all on one accord and that we will hear what you are saying and what we can do to help our neighbors and neighborhood. We thank you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Ms. Van. Amen. Amen. Again, welcome everyone to the Pine Hills Community Council meeting. For those that's meeting us for the first time, either in Zoom or by Facebook Live, the Pine Hills Community Council is a 501c4 nonprofit, civic, nonpartisan organization. I like to say we are the leading organization advocates for the residents in the Pine Hills area. And we advocate for the residents in the Pine Hills on the local, state, and national level. We educate, empower, and engage our residents in the Pine Hills area. So again, thank you for joining us tonight for this meeting. Again, I'm asked if you're not speaking during the meeting, please keep your microphone on mute as respect to those that are speaking during the meeting. So that's our welcome. Then we'll move to down our agenda. We would follow our agenda as follow. We would approve the minutes from our last meeting.
Can we do pledge, President?
Thank you, Ms. Van. Always keep me straight. Thank you, Ms. Van. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. Yes, we can do the pledge. Hold on a second. If I can get this flag up. So I don't have a flag. Let's just do a Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
I
Thank
pledge
you.
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with
liberty and justice for all.
All right.
Thank you so much, Van, for calling my attention to that because it's here. So we did the welcome. So I'm seeing if I could do a share screen and pull up these, what I really want to pull up here. This it? No. That's not it. I'm gonna stop sharing. So I want to do the treasury report, Ms. Van.
Yeah, I hope you pop it up.
And know what is so funny? I do this thing so much, and you don't know how many times I have looked at this, practice with this today, make sure that I get it. And here I am live. Let's try this one more time. Share screen. And I think this is it right here, isn't it? We're gonna try this. Nope, that's somebody else's thing.
No.
So Ms. Van, I don't have the treasury report.
All right. So I'm sorry we don't have a visual for you all tonight,
I know.
But I will go ahead and go over our treasury report for the month of June.
Okay, thank you.
In the month of June, and income, we had $11,457.62, and that is all due to Hobnob tickets and fees that we are charging for the Hobnob that we're going to have on July the 14th. For as our expense for the month of June, it was $2,310.47. Again, that's attributed to our Hobnob, all the things that we are buying and getting in place so that our event can be successful. So with that in mind, at the beginning of June, we had $11,081.64 in our treasurer. In June, we collected income $11,457.62. Our expense of $2,310.47 gave us a balance on June the 30th of $20,228.79. In our savings account that we have at Chase Bank, we got a 1 cent fee of interest this month. And so we had $1,625.
No, not yet. I have to go back down.
$1,625.43. In our savings bonds that we have at SunTrust, we got a 7 cents interest. So our balance is at $7,784.28. So when we add what we have as income minus our expense, the total that we have on hand is $29,638.50. And that's the end of my report, Madam President.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for doing what you do as far as keeping this treasure report straight and keeping me straight. So thank you so much, Fan. Is there, can I get a motion to approve the treasure report for those as a member of the council?
I motion to approve it.
Thank you, Deidre. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Dr. Nichols. Thank you for the treasure report. Just like Ms. Van says, a bucket of that money has come in from the Hobnob. So we've been working diligently to bring you a successful Hobnob, and I appreciate that. And it's a fundraising event, and what the council does as part of fundraising and other expenses, we adopt schools. We have adopted Evans High School. Evans High School is the only high school in the Pine Hills area. So we award a scholarship every year to a graduating student at Evans High School that lives in the Pine Hills area. And this coming school year, we have already laid out the foundation work for another award program for a student at Evans High School, where a student that is engaged in civic activity, civic-minded students. So we're looking to every school quarter moving forward next year to supporting a 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade student every quarter who can show that they are diligently engaged in the community, doing community service work and civic engagement. So we're putting the money back into the community as the money is coming in the Pine Hills area. So we got Bettina on the line for hey Bettina, for our minutes from last month. Bettina sent the minutes out to the members, so I hope the members had opportunity to review the minutes. We get a motion on the minutes, please.
I'll move.
Ms. Van moved that second.
Second?
Yes. Who second? I'll second the minutes. Can I second the minutes?
Yeah.
Good, thank you.
No.
I read them, so I second the minutes. So is there any questions? No question, thank you. The next thing on the agenda, it will be our president report, then our sheriff report, and then we'll move directly to our speaker here tonight, while most of you is on the line. But before I go any further, I just want to again recognize those that's in elected office position. I noticed Athena from Representative Brown office has signed in. Athena, you want to say anything on behalf of Representative Brown? Camille Brown.
Thanks for having us, and we're excited to be here tonight to hear everything that's going on.
Thanks, Athena. Yes. So the president report is just really a short report to remind you about the Hobnob coming up. July the 14th, Central Florida Fairground. Things are moving quite well. We have over 35 candidates that has registered for this Hobnob. I'm excited. We've got about 300 tickets sold. So I'm excited for this hobnob that's coming up. And thank you, Bill, for going over that with me today. Make sure things run smoothly on July the 14th. So that's my report from the president today. We're gonna move on to the next item on the agenda, unless there's any questions. With that, Captain Ela, Orange County Sheriff Department. Thank you for your partnership, Captain Ela.
Hey, good evening, everybody. So for Pine Hills in general, what we're looking at in the last month is there's still kind of an ongoing issue with youth and violence, and particularly doing violence against each other. And I can tell you from reading the reports that I read frequently, we're still encountering a number of teens or early adults who are victims of violence, but are not willing to participate in any kind of action against the person who did them violence. So typically not wanting to talk to us or to share who, fired a shot at them or hurt them, which of course we don't want to see that. What's more problematic for us is that all of these bullets, for example, that are fired, they land where they land, and that's making some of the neighborhoods unnecessarily dangerous. So for those of you who are listening who have, young men and women in your homes or grandkids or neighbors, please help us spread the word that these actions are making the community more dangerous for everybody. And we really want to make an impact on this and keep this from happening. The other things that we're experiencing over the last month, which are typical with summertime activity, is daytime, how homes being broken into during the daytime, and that's particularly just north and just south of Silver Star Road. So those of you who are home during the daytime, if you see something, say something. If you see people loitering in your neighborhood, going door to door, that don't live, they're not your neighbors, they're going door to door, they don't look like they have any real business there, please give us a call so that we can find out if they are up to no good or if they have a good purpose in being there. And then the other part of that is that overnight, it's the people breaking into cars, and that's in the same area. So that's just north and just south of Silver Star Road in Pine Hills. And frequently cars are targeted because something is left that is visible, that's of value. And I say that I do not want to create any kind of an impression with anybody listening that that's the victim's fault. It is not. We should be able to leave our belongings in our car. We should be able to leave our homes unlocked. We should be able to do all those things, but we are not. That's just not the world that we live in. So please, for everybody listening, and remind your neighbors, don't leave purses, don't leave electronics, don't leave wallets, don't leave things like that are visible in your cars, because there are folks out late at night that are looking for that opportunity to take from you. Those are the three primary things we have going on right now in Pine Hills. I know Deputy Radigan is working with Ms. Rump and several other community leaders, Dr. Nichols, to square away some of the ongoing peripheral issues that we have. And I trust from the emails that I read that he's been quite satisfactory on that. But I am here also to hear any other concerns that somebody might have.
If you haven't, thank you, Captain Ela. And again, thank you for your service to the Pine Hills community area. Are there any questions for Captain Ela? If you raise your hand. I know we're having okay, just a second, Kevin, I see your hand, thank you. Captain Ela, I know I'm putting you on the spot, but we're having a hobnob July 14th. And I sent you and Captain Carter an invite to even come by and just walk through, and there's going to be quite a few people there. And if you have any deputies on duty, send them that way, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Because there'll be a crowd of people there, and just strange things are happening now in the crowd, and we don't want to scare anybody away. But at least if we have someone close by, and if anything happens, we're praying that nothing will happen. But you're
absolutely
that way.
We'll make sure we're present, ma'am. Not a problem.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Captain. Calvin, you got a question?
Yes, Sheriff. Dennis, glad to see you finally on the screen here. It's my first time participating. And then I'm running for the U.S. Congress District 10 here in Orange County. And then Pine Hills, as I've gone through talking to residents, one of the things I'm hearing is the delayed response time from the time a call is made to get a deputy or someone in there. And I know across the whole district, you can only spread your forces so far and so wide, but it's generally 30 minutes to 45 minutes. Is there anything that the community people can do to help you more so to relieve that pressure on you? But the lighting in some areas is really bad, and perhaps you can work with the county on that to improve that. But lighting conditions, response to calls, and even on 411 when they don't call an emergency, it's like an hour and a half before they get any response. So just FYI, but I want to really make sure that I can help the people in Pine Hills feel more better about what you all are doing, because as a former military guy, I know what it is when you put your life at risk every day.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you.
Captain, did you want to respond or anything?
Excuse me. Yeah, unfortunately, sometimes the response times are quite delayed, and it really, there's no excuses for it. It just is reality. It depends what's going on. I'm sure if you watch the news, there was just a story on tonight about the elderly gentleman that was in the Sector 3 area that was missing for 2 days that we found in a retention pond alive. That's all hands on deck for 2 days. I don't have anything else to get. I have very, very limited resources when things like that happen. And then, of course, because obviously that's going to be a priority. If any of you, if that was your father or your husband, et cetera, you would certainly expect us to exhaust all resources we could to save them. Other than that, things are prioritized. And I'll say this, and I welcome anybody who wants to get in contact with me. I'll take you out for a shift, day or night, and you can listen to the radio. And you can hear that every time that we dispatch a deputy to something that's over with, an alert tone goes out and that deputy is diverted to what's going on right now. And it's post-COVID, we have certainly hit our stride back to how we were before in activity. There's a lot of stuff. How the community could help us. I think there's some ongoing communications with the community in different aspects about what does apply for law enforcement, like what should you be calling law enforcement for, and what is really not our role to call. And I think maybe some more education on that. I'd be honest with you, as it stands right now, we seem to be the one-stop shop for everything from my 8-year-old won't eat his breakfast, and I'm not exaggerating, to something that's really serious. Someone is trying to hurt me or is stealing my car, breaking into my home or something like that. So, I think like most industries, if any of you ever go out to eat or anything like that, you've probably noticed that there's a fair reduction in staff in almost every business. And we certainly have experienced that too. So we're trying. I know we actively recruit. So there's another message for you all. If you know any young folks who are looking for a career, we're looking for good folks every day, all day. We're looking for good folks to come in and try to alleviate some of that pressure and help us out. And also, importantly, be members of the community. That's really what we're looking for.
Thank you. Thank you for that response. I got a question. Do you have a status on Agape property?
I do not, but I'm going to be perfectly candid with you. That is not something that I would have any purview on. That is like 100% up to the county. The last I knew about that, they were waiting on final demolition plans. I have no pull. I don't know what better word to use. I have no pull or authority in how those decisions go. I certainly would like to see those old structures gone and something new, innovative, productive, useful to the community built in its place. So I share your enthusiasm in seeing the bulldozers hit that property and start anew. But I do not unfortunately have any updates. I think there was maybe somebody on here from the commissioner's office that might be able to look into that for you.
I don't know. I didn't see anyone sign in. Is District 6 or District 2 is on the line? It falls in District 6 area. And for those that is not familiar with the Agape area, that's an old church, covers probably about 3 acres or 4 acres, and not 4 acres of land. on the Hiwassee corridor, which is a very busy corridor in the Pine Hills area, close to the Hiwassee and Silver Star. And that building has been abandoned for at least 3 or 4, not 5 years, and it's turned into almost a full-fledged homeless shelter. And it has had 2 fires there in that area. So we're just trying to find out what's the status. So thank you so much, Captain, for the
Yeah,
for
it's
that information.
I think at one time I can remember it being a wonderful facility, and it certainly offered some great educational services and religious services for the community. But since it's been abandoned, like any other abandoned property, they fall into disrepair, and they become a place for folks that maybe are not so productive to frequent and hang out.
I see, thank you. I see 3 hands up. I see, is Galaxy A1 hand is up for this comment or from previously?
I think previous.
Okay. I think that's Pam,
Yeah.
Dr. Powell. Okay. So Dr. Nichols, your hand, and then Deidre's next.
Okay, yes, now I'll make mine short and sweet. Captain Ela, I want to just say thank you to you and your team. Sheriff Deputy Radigan has been integral in actually working with the council, Pine Hills Community Council, Pine Hills Safe Neighborhood, and also recently Rico, who's on the line as well. He, along with others, and we know that Powers Drive area right there where there was a homeless camp, he helped to work with those owners to help disband or dismantle that and hopefully help those individuals find a place that's reasonable for them to go to. So I just wanted to add that I did ask Captain Deputy Radigan about visibility, and I think that that's a deterrent for our area. And we don't want to say that we want the sheriffs, the officers in the area to not do their jobs, but the thing of it is that there's not a lot of visibility. And I'm sure there is, as I've heard that there are officers in the area. However, they're not in their cars, which sometimes they might be in unidentifiable cars, right? Which is great. However, the visibility is something that we haven't seen in the area, which is necessary in most areas these days with what's happening. So I expressed that concern at the meeting with Deputy Radigan, and I'm expressing it with you as well on this meeting tonight, that visibility is something that's certainly necessary in the cars, in their cars, whether it's unmanned or not, but that is a deterrent.
Yep, so I'll tell you, so if I'm fully staffed, I have 130 personnel that are assigned to me and that work all of Sector 3, right? So that's Silver Star down to basically, the International Drive area and then over to Lake County. Of those 130, 60% are allotted to Pine Hills on a daily basis. I really, the bulk of my assets are spent in probably 15% of my real estate. 10 to 15% of my real estate on a daily basis. There are a few unmarked cars, but we're talking about 8 to 10 maybe that are over a 2-squad here basis. I'll take a look at the staffing again tomorrow and see what I can find on that, but you can rest assured that Pine Hills gets the bulk of our marked presence on a daily basis. There might be 6 to 8, maybe even 10 deputies working Pine Hills south of Silver Star, and that's not counting what Captain Carter has north of Silver Star, each shift on a constant basis, whereas if you went to southwest Orange County, you might have 2, maybe 3. So just to give you a comparison of where resources are allocated.
Yeah, I get it. And just one last comment on that, Patricia, and I promise I'll let it go. And even yesterday myself, July 4th, I called in 311 because there were racers along Hiawassee, which we know this is a constant issue. It's not just in Pine Hills, it's all over. But these individuals are racing along these major corridors and actually doing wheelies in the middle of the highway. And I'm like, someone has to hear this other than me, that's a sheriff officer. And if they are unmarked, why aren't they doing something? And I know we can't chase, but they should not be allowed to do this in the broad daylight 2 o'clock in the afternoon when folks are traveling in Willie's on major corridors such as Hiawassee.
Let's make a meeting for you to come in for me one day. I'll show you on average the number of vehicle apprehension reports that come across my desk on a weekly basis. And a vehicle apprehension report is a person who flees from a deputy. And I will show you every one of those people that you're talking about has fled from us probably multiple times. And you're right, we can't chase them.
Yeah.
But probably 12, maybe upwards of 20 a week I get of people who flee from deputies that we're not authorized to chase after. We're seeking alternative methods to handle that. And we do have some razor details. However, those can't go every day, all day, countywide. So we try to target where we think that those problems might be based on maybe some social media output or some other information that we receive. But trust me when I say, Dr. Nichols, we all share your frustration. There's very few things that are more frustrating as a law enforcement officer than to watch people violate the law, and then we have to watch them.
And to cause an accident and kill others. So all of our folks that are running for office, I'm just going to put a plug in. This is something that's not just an issue for myself, but for communities overall, all of Orange County. And I hear Captain Ela say over and over, it's a concern. So we need to do something about the laws that are in place related to this that is happening persistently, constantly, all day long, all over Orange County, downtown Orlando, et cetera. It doesn't matter.
Thank you. I'm gonna move on to Deidre, then we're gonna move on to our guest speaker. Deidre.
Okay, yes, thank you. It's going to be really quick. In regards to the Agape building, who owns that property?
A bank, and I don't remember
Yeah.
what bank owns it now. Maybe you could help me out, Ms. Rumpf, but I don't remember now. Was it Chase Bank?
I don't know the bank. It's not Chase Bank, but I have the name of the attorney who's handling the case for the bank. So I know you're a realtor. If that's something that you want to follow up on, I could give you the name of the attorney locally
Okay,
who's handling that case for the bank.
okay, I do want to follow up on that. And my next question is, this is rolling into your next guest, how
Yes.
very important it is for voting and electing the right people to represent our communities. A lot of our issues, our county commissioners have a voice. They have a seat there at that table. And so this question that we're asking, that has been asked over and over and over, the answers should come from the commission. I mean, they're the ones that they're at that table in that room and bringing these things to the attention. And then that information should come back to the council. So I appreciate the sheriff there. What's your last name?
Captain Ela.
I really appreciate him attempting to answer that question. But the real person, the real group of people that should be answering in that is those that we put into office. That's all I want to say.
Thank you, Deidre. Yeah. We're gonna move on. And I won't get on that. But Bettina.
Just a
Bettina.
quick comment. Am I on? Can you hear me?
Yes, Bettina.
They don't have any trouble catching you if you happen to go on the 408 and don't pay. They have no trouble. You get a fine, you get something sent to your house, you get a ticket. I don't understand how people can do wheelies. You have their number, you got their license. They have tags. You know who they are. They should be called to account. I know that action happens locally. That's what happened when Pine Hills, when we finally got the ordinance for the dual wheel parking. But it needs to happen. We've got the pressure on now. We've got this issue in front of us. They need to address it, and how they're going to have some type of something come down on these people who continue to do this, because they kill other people on the highways.
Captain Carter has made some proposals, and I don't know if they're getting any traction or not, but if you don't know, Captain Carter is my counterpart on the north side of Silver Star Roads. He has made some proposals to have local ordinances that find the owner of the vehicle. So the way state statutes are written for traffic is that the owner of the vehicle doesn't get cited. The only way that that happens is in some areas that have the red light cameras, and that's a whole specific different set of circumstances. But those aren't state statutes. So Captain Carter has proposed some language in local ordinance that allows us to find the owner of the vehicle that flees from us or that is running. And I'll be honest with you, the ones that are doing the wheelies down the street, those are the ones that flee from us. I mean, they drive by us, give us the finger on one wheel.
All right. Right.
You can watch national coverage of that. It's a nationwide problem. So he has recommended some language like that. Local like county officials and et cetera would be the ones to really grasp onto that and make it happen. I certainly would be in favor of looking at something like that, because I think if the owner of the vehicle starts paying $1,000 fine because that car or that motorcycle fled from the police, then they're probably going to be a little more accountable for the knucklehead that's driving it if it's not them. But
if there's anything our committees can do to work with you to go before the commission, it's been successful in the past, and I think that this has gone on long enough.
We are all in agreement on that. Trust me, we're all very tired of it. And until we can find a way to make it impact people and force their behavior change because it's financially impactful, I don't know that there's a solution to it. But I would also encourage you to bring that to your elected officials who are policymakers and lawmakers. Okay, so we're talking about county commissioners, state legislators, people like that. We're just police officers. We don't write law.
Right.
We can tell you all day long what we need, but we don't write it. So take it. Let your voices be heard to those folks.
Thank you, Captain Ela, for always joining us and keeping us updated. This is the email address. Yeah, it's keeping us updated as to what's going on. And I know sometime I'm gonna move on because we're here for the speaker of the hour, but I know sometime in some of our council meeting, as being a former law enforcement officer, I know Dr. Nichols will be looking at me like, is she siding with them or just what? No, I'm not siding with them, but I know what Captain Ela's talking about. I see both sides of it. So that's what we are. A good conversation, a good.
Thank you for continuing to put up with me.
Oh.
A good conversation, because for those that's on this line that's running for state seat, these are the issues that we want to see resolved in this area. Change the legislation so that the law enforcement's hands are not tied, and we don't have to. Anyway, I'm gonna leave this alone. I'm going to our next speaker of the hour, Bill Cowles, because there's been changes in the election laws that everyone needs to know about. This is a season for election here. We got several candidates on the line. I think they too want to know about the changes of these election laws. So Bill Cowles, he need no introduction. He's been with the supervisor of the election. Is it 30 years, Bill?
Something like that.
Something like that. A very smart and knowledgeable guy, and I can also call him a friend of mine. So Bill, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, last thing, hold your questions to the end, please. And once we finish, raise your hand feature on your information and do it that way. So save your questions to the end. Thank you very much. Bill, thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's see here. All right, so let me kind of walk through where we're at. I'm going to take and do it in 3 mailers, 3 different mailings that we have done to the voters of Orange County. So the first one, everybody should have already received a notice of elections that we sent out, just letting everybody know the election is coming and some information you need to know. Now, if somebody tells you they didn't get it, that means they moved and they didn't keep their address up to date with us. And we got about 45,000 of these back in the mail.
Wow.
So we're working through those to find out if they're truly moves, or what the situation is. But the key part to this notice that we sent out were two things on the bottom of the form. The first one is Florida is a closed primary state. And you can, in the primary for state house, state senate, and Congress, you can only vote in the party in which you are registered. So on this notice, we said very clearly, this is your party affiliation of record. And so they know, in case they're trying to follow a candidate and make sure they're in that party so they can vote for them. July 25th is the last day in Florida that you can change your political party affiliation to a different party. Otherwise, your ballot is based on your party affiliation at that time. On the other side of that same mailer, we sent out and we said to the voter, you have a standing request or you do not have a request for a vote by mail ballot. Because the Florida legislature this year took and changed, really actually 2 years in SB 90 in 2021, they switched it from a vote by mail request was good for 2 federal elections and dropped it down to 1 federal election, meaning you have to request a ballot every election cycle. And so this was our way of telling the voter, you have a request or you don't have a request. And then on it, it also said, this is how you can make a request. And we're up to just about 200,000 vote by mail requests for this election season. Wow. But it's not too late to order a vote by mail ballot. The cutoff is 10 days before the election. That's the last day you can request and have the ballot mailed to you. So this was our attempt to let voters know. Now, the other thing we know is some people didn't get them through the mail. The other thing we know is some people said, this is just junk mail, and they threw it away and didn't read it. So that's the first mailer that we sent out to all the voters. The second, and that mailer was done back in June. Now the second mailer going out to the voters is their new voter information card. And everybody knows that this is the year of redistricting. And so all the districts have changed from the congressional districts, which were the last districts we got. Then we have the state senate, the state house, and then you have the county commission and the school board. So with this mailer, it has on the new voter information card which district you actually live in. So this is our first notice to start telling voters about what the changes are. And as we know, even when you just talk about county commission, how the boundaries have changed. I'm an example of the fact that I live in Gotha. I used to be in County Commission District 1, and now I'm in County Commission District 2. So it changes who my commissioner is, but it also changes who I get to vote for, where I would probably not voted for my commissioner until 2024. Now I'm in a new district, so I get to vote for commissioner again. So this card was telling the voters about their new districts, but also this card also has the name of your polling place for your precinct for the elections this fall. And so some districts' precinct numbers have changed. Like the precinct I'm in used to be a 100 number because I was in County Commission District 1. Now I'm in a new County Commission district, so my precinct had to change to a 200 number. But we kept the impact as low as we could on the changes to the district numbers, trying to keep people as close to what they were before and not change the precinct structure. But again, nobody builds polling places, so we have to find new ones when somebody tells us they no longer want us back or they've sold and the new owners don't want us on it. So these cards are now going out in the mail The first 250,000 were mailed out recently. Then there's another three mailers, 3 batches going out. And so voters should get this. Now, again, the same people who didn't get the notice of elections because they don't have their address right may not get this one as well. But all this information I'm talking about is available by either making a phone call to the elections office, or you can go online. And particularly with the vote by mail, you can track your requests. You can track the date your ballot was mailed. You can track when your ballot was returned to us, what status is in, and when it has been counted. So you have a way to track this information, polling places and all over. Now, remember, this is a voter information card. You do not need this card in order to vote on election day or at early voting. Florida law says you must show driver's license or Florida ID, a picture ID, and your signature. Doesn't have to be your driver's license, but most likely it is your driver's license because people drive to the polling place to vote. So here's the second mailer, which is the one that gives you your polling place information and what districts you're in, but it can all be checked online. Then at the 1st of August, then comes the big mailer. And the big mailer is your sample ballot for the election. Okay, so first off, when we send this out, obviously the best part about it is inside, it'll have your ballot. And this is where you can sit down and pre-study your ballot, pre-mark it, and take it with you to the early voting site or to the polling place on election day and transfer your vote over to your official ballot. Now, voters who vote by mail don't get a sample ballot because they already have a ballot in their hand. So they don't get the sample ballot. Now, the other part on the sample ballot is it will reinforce the polling place information because the polling place information will be on there with a map with directions going to your polling location. But we know everybody's creatures of habit. I've always voted over here. I'll go back over there. Even though we sent you 2 mailers telling you not to do that, we're going to have billboards up all over the community reminding you about where to vote and all. So bottom line is we're creatures of habit. And so some people are going to get mad and be told they got to go someplace else if it's on election day to their polling place. The last thing on it is the list of all the 20 early voting sites. And so the early voting sites will be open for 2 weeks. We'll be 8 to 7 for the primary and 8 to 8 for the general. 20 locations to go to, and several of them are all around the Pine Hills area because you've got the library, the Hiawassee Library, and the shopping center with plenty of parking. You've got the Lytle Mitchell Library over on Raleigh Street. You got the West Oaks Library at Clark Road and Silver Star. So you're well surrounded by early voting sites to go and you take your sample ballot with you. So vote by mail ballots. How do you return your ballot? All right, well, first off, on the return, we pay the postage for the ballot to be sent back so that a person, particularly an elderly person who doesn't have ability to get to the post office or don't have stamps, they don't have to worry about it. They can just give it to their postman and we cover the postage on returning it. Then if you want to return ballot, the law's changed that says you can return as an individual 2 ballots plus your immediate family. And immediate family is a very broad definition in the statute of who makes up family members. So you know you're leaving church, somebody says to you, can I return, can you take my ballot for me? You can take up to 2, but the rest of them are yours or family members. Now, on the other hand, nobody from my area is going to be checking you, but there will be observers who are looking for that person who shows up with 50 ballots and they don't have a family that big. Not their church family, their immediate family. Okay. So from that standpoint, the other part, the 20 early voting, we will have the drive-through drop-off as we did before. So a person who doesn't trust the mail, want to give it to us, but they don't want to drive all the way down to Cayley Street in downtown, they can go to one of these early voting sites, never have to get out of their car. It's just a drive up and a drop off situation. The ballots are brought back to us. And again, I mentioned earlier, you can track your ballot. Okay, you can track your ballot online to find out if it's been returned, or you can call. If you don't have access to a computer, you can call and we'll tell you what date we got it back and what your ballot status is. Obviously, when you vote by mail, your signature is your ID. So your signature is what gets compared to what you put on the certificate envelope. So if you know that because of health reasons, aging or whatever, and your signature has changed, or somebody whose signature has changed and you need to help them, they have to do it on a voter registration form. And then when they submit it, then that becomes their new signature of record that we compare to. In the process of checking signatures, if a signature is determined not to match, immediately upon reviewing it, we start sending out the cure affidavit. The cure affidavit is where you complete the affidavit and attach a photo ID, copy of a photo ID, send it in, and then we use that to be your new signature so your ballot can be counted. And the law allows it to be returned up to 2 days after the election, and it's done on 2 days so that anybody who turned their ballot in, say on election day, still has a chance to fix theirs, the same as the person who sent it in 2 weeks earlier. So ballots are going out late July, about July 20th is when the ballots will be going out. So here's my little tip for the night. How many of you hate getting robocalls? You hate all that campaign mailing in your mailbox and you just want it to stop? The easiest way to make it stop is either vote your vote by mail ballot or go to early voting and vote, because once those candidates see that you have voted, they're going to spend their time and resources on the other voters and not you. So the sooner you vote your ballot, then the sooner you come off. The other thing is, and I think I'm going to go back to what our sheriff deputy had to cover. And I think this is the whole thing about this election. I'm going to end on this and then we'll take questions, Patricia. And that is, this is what they call the off election year. Okay, why is it called that? It's because it's not presidential. But the other part is our pyramid is upside down. We spend so much time talking about the presidential race. But as the sheriff deputy said, these races this year, especially when Pine Hills is faced with 7 county commission candidates. Now's the time to get focused on local races, the county commission, the school board, which the school board's not really on this one, on this side of town, but then you've got state house and state senate. Real changes happen. The message to get out, and particularly when you're talking about congressional district 10, congressional 10 and county commission with 7 candidates, 10 Democratic candidates for Congress, 10 for Democrats in congressional 10, 6 in the Republican side for congressional 10, 2 NPAs. Then you got the county commission with 7. One vote could change the outcome of this large election. And does somebody have a mandate with only 20% of the vote? And that's 20% of who shows up. So the message is, if you want to talk about importance and you want change, this is the time to do it. And that's the vote on August 23rd in the primary, because if nobody gets 50% plus one vote in that county commission race, there's a runoff in November 8th. In the congressional district 10, somebody will come out of that race on the D side, the R side, and go against the two NPAs in November. And one
Okay.
vote can change it all.
Very good. Very good. Good information. It's a lot of information. It's a lot of information to grasp. I was writing down some notes, but you answered a couple of my questions when you said we need to request a early vote by mail every election cycle. So you define that the election cycles begin with the presidential race.
Well, it's every federal election.
Federal
Because
election.
like this year, we have US Senator and we have Congress. So that's a federal year. So it's every 2 years. So
Okay.
every election, you've got to do it. Now, for some people who live in other parts of the county that are involved in cities where they have city elections, they may have made their request back in March when we had city elections that will cover it for this year. But in the
Okay.
Pine Hills area, you don't have that. So that's why it's important to either call and find out if you have an active status, and if not, order it.
So as hands go up, Bill, there's a new law they call the warming line. But the candidates on this line, they need to know what that means. And not only the candidates, but the special interest people need to know, what does it mean when it's a warming line?
Well, again, the fact that the state law has been 150 feet, no solicitation zone from the entrance to the polling location, whether it be early voting or election day. And so in some areas, there's been questions about, well, if I see somebody in line and they need a chair, can I walk the chair to them, or do they need water? And that's where that warming came from. Again, here's the whole thing. This kind of makes that issue mute for me, because do you realize that the voting habit of the voters have changed? 41% of the people who voted in the presidential election of 2020 voted by mail. 30% went to early voting, and only 110,000 voters went to their polling place on election day. And with 241 locations in 12 hours, the likelihood of long lines at the polls have gone away because of the way voter habits have changed. But it's talking about, so basically candidates, any community groups can be up to that 150-foot mark. If they want to hand out water, hand it out before they cross the line.
Yeah, okay. Very good. Something, I don't see any more hands, so I'm gonna keep talking. So Bill, we did not, I see a hand, but I asked that you use your feature on your thing, but what's her name? She just went away.
Hi, it was me, Judon Gimbalo.
Judon, yes, okay, yes. Go ahead and
Yes,
ask the question.
Mr. Cow, you talked about the vote by mail and the signature didn't match. And what they can do, they can take a photo ID, and that would replace where the signature is. Do you have on file their picture so it matches?
Well, I think what happened is I talked in the two methods of voting. When you vote by mail, your signature is your ID, because we don't have photos of the voters. But what I was saying, when you go to the polls, you have to show photo and signature ID. So, okay, so that's why I said your signature, if you're voting by mail, and if your signature doesn't match what I have on record, then we send you that affidavit. When you return that affidavit, now you're asked for more information, your signature and a photo ID, but we don't keep the ID as part of the record.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. And
Good
here's a little
question.
tip. Let me give one more before you go to the next question.
Sure,
Let me
sure,
give one
sure.
more tip. If you need to update your signature, or you know somebody who needs to update their signature and they're never sure how they signed it the last time, I was told in 2020, the solution is update your signature, but before you turn the form into us, take a picture of your signature on that form, keep it on your phone, and when you have to sign the next time, you've got signature.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I've got Calvin.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Mr. Cowles, and glad to know that as I come into my first effort to be an elected official, I want to do the right things right, especially going to the U.S. Congress District 10. One of the questions that I have is regarding how you guarantee, especially on drive-through, that someone in a vehicle, and do you have people stationed there to make sure they're not delivering more than that too, plus their immediate family members if they just chose to drive through. And secondly, when you talk about the means in which you're sending out the mailers that gives all this great information, why haven't you considered a cost of mailing continues to go up, as we all know, even us taxpayers who pay for the mailing. What about PSRs that exactly explain what you did so beautifully? PSRs that could go out, and most people either have a TV. A lot of people may not have a phone that they can go online. But the PSRs, I haven't seen any PSRs that spoke to the description of the mailings that you've done to date and what is yet to come. And I think a 1 minute PSR, you've got all kinds of PSRs going out this election cycle. Have you not considered that? And if not, why not?
Well, it's something to consider, and the evolution of how we communicate continues. So from that standpoint, it's something to take under advisement as we move forward. We do, in some ways, the legislation and the thinking is that you do a lot of stuff by mail because you then have a way of showing that you made contact or attempted to contact in each individual. So from that standpoint, the whole issue about drop off is a sticky one, in that the legislation at one time did have where you would have to fill out documentation and list everybody that you're returning and the relationship and all that. The legislature pulled that back and dropped it from it. So from that standpoint, there's no obligation on us to keep record of how many each one does. But again, there's a 150-foot no solicitation zone around the drop areas. And again, as I said in the candidate seminar that we held, that you're more than welcome to have observers there to monitor what you see and then follow through on that.
Thank you. Fabian hand is up. Fabian Jackson.
Yes, you can hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. First of all, I want to give thank you to Miss Chantel Brown. She notified me about this here meeting, so I'm glad to be here. I do have my camera off because I am multitasking. I do not want to be a distraction to all the viewers. So thank you, Miss Rump. Thank you, Mr. Wimbush. Thank you, Mr. Bill Cowles, all of you for serving. I do appreciate you all in your respective places, including Dr. Nichols. So just a quick little background about me. I used to reside in Orlando. And yes, I kept my 407 number. I'm now in the Northeast Florida section. And it's almost as if, not that I was running away from Orlando, but it's like it brought me right back to Orlando because I have a mother who now resides there. So this is very important to me as well. So I'm going to try to speak really quickly here because there's certain things that I want to cover. Earlier, Mr. Wimbush, I'm going to get to something that you brought up. But Mr. Bill, you stated, and maybe you have said it, but forgive me if I missed it because, again, doing multiple things here. My mother and all of her plethora of lovely senior citizens who reside in the Pine Hills area, they attend this Pine Hills Community Center, and she and I talk on a weekly basis in regards to the highs and the lows, her disappointment, of course, being from New York and now transitioning to here. It is a whole new world. Did you mention at all if there is, or will there be anything set up for them to vote at that facility, or is it the ones that you just mentioned? Because as you know, that age group is not techie, so I'm like the voice, the eyes, the ears, to translate that back to them. That's my
Are you-
first half question, Ms. Rump.
Yeah, the law does allow us to do assisted voting at assisted living facilities and home care facilities.
Correct.
We send out the invitation to the activity directors at each of those locations to offer our service to come in and to set up in their facility a mini polling location prior to election day where they can vote. So they're basically voting the vote by mail method, but they're actually doing it in person and turning in their ballot there. So we have that. But in terms of if she's participating in an activity at a community center, that's not part of the statute. They would
Okay.
still have to go either early vote or go to their polling place on election day.
Understood. I'm trying to get those who do not drive, and she's one of those, and quite a bit of her friends, leaving again, New York, just hopping on the train, and now she has to learn to drive. The other part that I wanted to address, or at least bring up earlier, Mr. Wimbush, thank you for your service again. You brought up about what I call dismal lighting. Of course, residing in Pine Hills, yes, I am a victim to being car, burglary, and it happened twice within 1 month. And my thing, what we did prior to that happening, I used to reside in Southridge and I was a HOA president. One of the things at the time, and I'm going to date myself, it was back in either 2007 or 2006 when both Demings was on the beat. And we invited them to our HOA meeting. We got the community involved. And as we all know, this is like preaching to the choir redundantly. This is a problem that it seems like it would never go away as far as robbery. And one of the things that resonated in my memory bank to this day that he shared with us during our meeting, he says from October to January, February, that's when you're going to have the highest break-ins. And a young lady and myself both drove the same vehicle. It was an Avalanche. Hers got broken into because if you were to drive on Hiawassee, that same street that Ms. Nichols, Dr. Nichols brought up, that they're speeding, they sped back in 2003, 2004, nearly knocking over children who are crossing from the elementary school. So that problem was in existence then. I'm now in Jacksonville and on this meeting tonight, and I'm hearing the same problem. One of the things that we partnered with, of course, with the Sheriff's Department, hiring off-duty deputies, they, of course, were visible, but we also installed speed humps. Yes, it was costly, but guess what it did? They did not use Southridge as a way to get out on the back end to the Orla Vista Park area. So I don't know if that can be something, I don't know what the budget is, but just to kind of like minimize that speeding, to hear that problem still exists on Hiawassee, it's kind of like, it hurts my heart because I know how many children we've saved trying to cross that street and they're just flying down that highway. The other thing is
right, Ms. Saxon, and you're right, and that's where the council come in, the Pine Hills Community Council, and I appreciate your comments. And you're right, this has been going on for quite some time. We've been around for quite some time, and we are actively addressing all of these things going on. We meet the first Tuesday of every month. Believe me, we have met. We got a meeting coming up with the mayor. The council has. So we have made progress. Sure, these issues are still there, but believe me, we have made progress. We have kept the focus in the Pine Hills area. We have seen some results come through. So I welcome you to join us. You don't have to live in the Pine Hills to be a member of the council. And we have these discussions, like I say, once a month. We have committees that we have set up. And in addition to these meetings once a month, our committee meet once a month. So you're welcome to join us at a time where we can discuss that. But I want to keep the focus on the supervisor election right now, please.
Understood. Thank you so much for having me again.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bill, I want, unless there's any more questions, I do want to ask about the is Pam, is your hand up? No.
Hey,
I want to ask
Madam Rump.
Yes, my hand is up.
Okay, Pam.
Okay.
Yes, Pam, go ahead on.
Yes, this was my question regarding the ballots and absentee ballots. I realized Mr. Cowles, awesome job. Pat, awesome job, Mr. Cowles, as always. You mentioned about the drop-off ballots having to be family members once we go inside the location to drop the ballots off. My question is, there's a drop box outside. Is there a limit on the number that you can put in that drop box?
One, two.
Well, in order to have that drop box, there will be cameras on it at the main office. There will be a security guard starting next week monitoring it. And again, the statute says the person should only be doing 2 plus their immediate family members. So, we'll have that in play, and it's a personal responsibility. There's no documentation, but there is documentation in terms that there are cameras on it.
Right. So my question, if someone is driving through there and they picked up, let's say 50 absentee ballots, so to speak.
Well,
once they
let's
go
stop
on
there,
that
Pam.
box, what-
Pam,
I'm fine.
Pam, first off, no voter gets a vote by mail ballot sent to them except from us, and they must have a stated request. And that's one of
Okay.
those myths out in the community that needs to be cleared up, is we don't
Okay.
give candidates or campaign workers or community people ballots to go out and just hand out to anybody.
Gotcha.
Bill, and I think what Pam is addressing is, yes, I know that we don't give ballots to anyone, but they're ballot chasers.
I understand. And
Okay.
it's, again, it comes down to everybody monitoring each other and reporting it. The bottom line is the flip side is the courts have ruled the voter doesn't get penalized for the bad actions of maybe somebody else. The ballot still counts, but it's got to be that documentation to proceed with the investigating and through on it. And as most things happen in election situations, they always seem to happen after the election and not before the election is over.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else, Pam?
Thank you. He answered the question. Thank you,
Thank you.
Pat.
And
Dr.
Madam Prop-
Nichols?
Yes, I wanted
And
to
then-
make sure, because I'm monitoring the chat box as well as our Facebook page. So we have some listeners that are actually putting some comments in the chat box on
Okay,
Facebook, as well as in our chat box here as well. So there's a question to Mr. Bill related to the 30%. Can you provide additional clarification on what that means, and how does one work with that number? What does it mean?
Well, I think the 30% was my comments about the method that voters use when voting, and that 41% of the voters voted by mail, 30% went to one of the early voting sites and voted in person, and then the rest of the voters went to their polling place on election day and voted in person there. So the 30% that I was referring to, I believe, was the reference of who early votes. And again, for candidates, again, I think the message is very clear that starting this Friday, we're mailing out the ballots to the domestic and to the military overseas under that federal requirement 45 days ahead of time. And then between the 35th and 30th day is when we mail the domestics. And so voting starts not on election day anymore. Early voting starts coming up this Friday when the first ballots go out.
very good. Good information.
And
Anybody else?
Since you got, Patricia, since you got candidates on the line and all, if the candidates have not set up an account with our office where they can see who's going to be mailed ballots and see when the ballots are mailed and also see who's returned their ballots, now's the time to get yourself set up for that.
Very good, very good. Kelvin, then I got a question.
Okay, yes, just a quick follow-up about the Dropbox. You have a security officer that's going to be monitoring. 2 questions. Is that monitored 24 hours a day, or is that Dropbox locked at a certain time? Like I know you said during the election, the early voting 8 to 7 in the primary. And when they are monitoring, they are physically watching when they're inserting them in, or they're just about somewhere in the vicinity, because that becomes a concern of control. And that's what I guess my military background kicks in when I heard that. I just want to see how you're going to manage that.
Let's break it down into categories. The permanent repository box that is in the front of our main office, we have repositioned it. We've added cameras from behind, side, and front.
Wow.
And so that, and then we'll have the security guard who is there after hours when there's nobody there, so that we can keep that box open 24/7.
Oh, wow.
So again, Central Florida is unique. And I think these numbers I mentioned earlier, because we are a service industry community.
I'm going back downstairs too.
People in Pine Hills do not work an 8 to 5 Monday through Friday schedule. And so that's why I'm adamant that we have to have that 24-hour option, especially since I have the Orlando Health Hospital right behind us and all that shift work.
Thank you.
At the early voting sites, the secure ballot intake station, because I can't say those other 2 words anymore because they were taken out of the law. So they will be there during the hours of early voting. Each station will have 2 to 3 workers, because the other thing that the legislature put in the law was that if the drop-off station is seen as unattended, it's a $25,000 personal fine on the supervisor of elections.
Whoa.
That ain't going to happen.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I'm sure to answer your question. Thank you very much. That's good information to know. So I'm going to ask a question. I don't know what time it is because I don't have a clock in front of me, and this thing's supposed to end at 8 o'clock, but it's been good information.
You got 17 more minutes.
Okay, so good. Bill, I want to shift a little bit to the amendments and initiative. I know there's 3 state initiatives that's going to be on the ballot. I understand 2 of the 3. Just briefly tell them about those 3 state initiatives that's going to be on the ballot. This for the voters.
Well, the 3 of them will be on the November ballot.
Okay.
Okay, so from that standpoint, I haven't really gotten that far into. I know one is to abolish the state constitutional revision commission that meets every 20 years to change the Florida Constitution. The other 2
That's what it
is the expansion of, I believe they're expansions of
the
tax,
the hero tax deal.
hero tax deals for 2 different categories.
Yes.
I think what's more important is what's on the ballot locally. So, you know, we've talked a lot about local.
Okay, thank you.
On August ballot, the Orange County Public Schools is asking for the renewal on their half-cent for school that for now 15, 20 years. That's on there. Then on November ballot, there's the transportation tax the Board of County Commissioners put on that. So that one's already been set to go to ballot. What is yet to be said, discussions continue, and that's on the rent stabilization ordinance, and that has not been decided. And unfortunately, once I put these ballots for August off to the printer, I'm starting to lay out the ballots for November, and all I gotta wait for is the results to drop in the names and start printing for the November election. So again, I keep pushing this county commissioners that I've got to have a decision, but they have not yet made one. And of course, it's not all about us at the elections office, but we're the ones who have to push it out to the voters.
Thank you so much. This is good information. And just like Bill said, there's several candidates on this call. And as I look across this call, I want to thank you for signing on tonight, the candidates and the voters. A lot of these candidates will be at the Hobnob on July the 14th. Voters and those that's on the Zoom call and those that are watching by Facebook, July the 14th is your opportunity to come to the Pine Hills. We call it the People's Hobnob because we made it affordable for you and the candidates. That's your opportunity to come and meet and greet and shake hands with these candidates and ask them the questions that you want asked and get the answers that you want to hear. Not really want to hear, but see what they have to offer to this Pine Hills community. That's July the 14th. So anybody else here wants to introduce themselves, if we don't have any more questions, I'm going to open them just quickly if the board doesn't mind. I'm going to thank the board, Pine Hills Community Council Board, for being on this call and every call and for your support. We got our first vice president is Noel on the line, Noel Martin, our first vice president. Our second vice president, I saw Pastor Joy. Is he on the line? He's gone.
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you, Pastor Joy. We got our secretary, Bettina. She's on the line, Bettina.
Hi.
Hey, Bettina. Thanks, Bettina. We got Van, our treasurer. Is she still on the line, Ms. Van?
Yes, I'm still here. Hi, everyone.
Thanks, Ms. Van. And we have our board members. We got Dr. Nichols on the line. Melissa's on the line. Melissa.
I'm here.
Board. Thank you, Melissa. Another board member, Sandra Fatman Hall is on the line. She was earlier. Dr. B, is he on the line? He was earlier. Is Dennis on the line? Ken? No.
Yeah.
So we got a few more minutes, and I'm gonna just raise your hand, candidates. If you just want to introduce yourself, because there's so many candidates here. I don't want to forget anybody. To just quickly tell your name and office that you're running for. But before I go, we got a couple of elected officials, representatives on the line. Like we got Peggy from Congressman Val Dennis' office. Is Peggy still here? We have Athena from
Patricia.
Thanks, Peggy, for always being with us. Thank you very much. And a representative of Camille Brown's office on the line.
Hi.
Thank you, Athena, for always being with us. And Landra Warmack from my Orange County Tax Collector, Scott Randolph's office. Thank you, Landra. Okay, so I'm gonna go by the hand that's raised. I got Melissa, Pastor Terrence Grace, then Nikki, and then Kelvin. Melissa, you go ahead and speak.
Hey, good evening, everyone. My name is Melissa Myers, and I'm running for House District 40 State Representative. I look forward to you visiting my website, votemelissamyers.com. I will put it in the chat as well. If you have any questions or concerns, or you want to talk more about my platform and my vision for our communities, feel free to reach out. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Melissa. Pastor Gray. You're on mute.
Thank you so
There we
very
go.
kindly. Thank you so very kindly. I greatly appreciate this opportunity, Patricia, to have a chance to greet the Pine Hills Community Council. My name is Terrence Gray. I presently serve as Senior Pastor of St. Mark. I'm offering myself to serve at a larger level, and that is to serve you as Florida 10's congressional leader. I want to have an opportunity to be the voice for people, to have an opportunity to bring people together, and also display there is some serious putting spiritual leadership back in positions of power that has voice to help to direct the country. I pray that you will take the time to visit, yes, our website, also visit us on Facebook, and know that it's my desire to serve you. Thank you for this opportunity. Look forward to being at the Hobnob on the 14th, and thank you for the opportunity to say hello.
Okay, thank you. Kelvin?
Yes, Calvin Wimbish. I'm a retired military officer, Green Beret, paratrooper. More importantly, I'm a Christian conservative who believes in the Constitution. And I've stepped up to come out to the people and let them know that I'm standing up for your rights in Pine Hills. I grew up in a similar situation that many of the people in Pine Hills and Washington Shores and Paramore have shared with me. From poverty to making it, it's all a matter of the altitude of our attitude and attitude of gratitude. And God's grace and mercy brought me out of retirement to stand up. I'd like you to go to votecal2022.org. That's VOTECAL 2022.org and look at my platform. And also I have a video out there that I think will explain a lot about why I'm doing this for the people, because you're electing me, the people will. And I hope you come by my booth at the Pine Hills Hobnob. I will have information there to share about how and why I think I could take those transferable skills from the military, corporate America, and as a former teacher to apply to what we can do as people to rise above our circumstances and let God keep us in control. Thank you for allowing me to be with you all here on the Pine Hills Community Council.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Rosemary.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rosemary Deal, and I am running for Orange County Commission seat number 6. I live in Pine Hills. I am been in Pine Hills for many years, most of my life, almost over 40 years in Central Florida, and most of it in the Pine Hills area. I'm a strong advocate for the community. I consider myself a leader that is passionate as well as a visionary, that I can see things within the community that I know that needs to be changed. I live in the inner city blocks of Pine Hills, so I know things that are happening or need to happen in order to fix it, to move forward. Our communities all in District 6 need a hand. They need to improve, and I hope to be that voice that I could speak up for everyone and be able to work for the whole District 6. And I know we're here in Pine Hills, and so I have a more passion in my heart when it comes to certain organizations. However, my heart is so big that I can fill it up with passion for everyone in the community. So my background is very extensive, very diverse, and that goes well with personal as well as professional. And I look forward to being your next commissioner for Orange County District 6. Vote for me, Rosemary Deal. I'm the real deal.
Okay, thank you, Rosemary. Nikki Mims.
Hi there, everyone. I am Nikki Mims McGee. Just wanted to introduce myself. I am a candidate for County Commissioner District 6. Thank you, Ms. Patricia, and thank you, Mr. Cowles, for just giving us a wealth of information tonight. A little bit about myself is I am born and raised in the district that I am running for. I grew up in Pine Hills. I attended Hiawassee Elementary, Robbinswood, West Orange. I later went on to FAMU to receive my bachelor's and master's. And then later I received my JD and my LLM in corporate governance and finance. So really quickly, one of the reasons why I'm running, or the primary reason, is because I am a vested stakeholder in District 6. I see the changes that our community has faced, and I believe that I am equipped and most of all, proficient to know what our district is lacking and what we need. I am a daughter of developers, and I believe not only in building our community, but I believe in bridging the gap as well. So please head to my website if you all get a moment. I'll drop it in chat. That is www.vote4nikki.com. And I look forward to seeing you all as well at the Hobnob on the 14th. And please feel free to drop by my booth, tell me your concerns, ask me questions, and I look forward to meeting you all. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you. Is Pam still on the line? I think her hand is up. We're going to wrap this up. Pam,
Yes.
There we
go. Am I allowed to introduce myself as we close?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
Yes, I'm Pam Powell. I'm running for State Representative District 41. I am just urging everyone to please vote. I am the most passionate candidate for the people. My platform is on my website. Certainly, I know we need help in a lot of areas, from affordable housing to ending gun violence to protecting voters' rights and all of that. But go to my website at www.vote www.pampowellforstaterep.com. That's www.pampowellforstaterep.com. It's time for the change, and I'm the candidate that can make that happen. God bless each of you, and thank you for this awesome meeting.
Thank you. I see Representative Corinne Brown is on the line. They want to speak.
That's correct. Thank you. God is good. And this has been a very informative session. Let me just say a couple of things. When you're born, you get a birth certificate. And when you die, you're going to get a death certificate. And that little dash in between is what you've done to make this a better place. I am very proud of the work that I've done for 24 years for Orange County District 10. I come with experience, and I really think that the United States Congress is not a training ground. We need people with experience. There are many issues on the table. People are calling me about the fact is that we got a United States senator that want to wipe out Social Security. That is unbelievable. When Claude Pepper was the leader to make sure we kept Social Security alive. Transportation, billions of dollars have been passed in Congress, House, Senate, signed by the president, and the money is just sitting there on the table. And we have all kinds of issues, congestions in Central Florida, and we need to move forward with many modes of transportation. And of course, the Veterans Hospital, for 25 years, we tried to get a VA hospital. I was able to do it, get it, millions of dollars, and the list goes on and on. So I am looking forward to representing the area once again and re-elect Corrine Brown. Vote Corrine.com. Go to my website. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Bill, so much for hanging in here with us. It's been a great meeting. Again, we meet the first Tuesday of every month. Go to our website, pinehills.info. Become a member of the council. You witnessed firsthand tonight, the work and the effort, what the council is doing in the community and for the community. So if you are not a member of the Pine Hills Community Council, then ask yourself, why not? We have our website, pinehills.info. Go to our website, become a member. It's only $20 a year, $15 a year if you're a senior, $5 a year if you're a student. If you're an organization or agency, it's $50 a year. If you're a business, it's $100 a year. Well, whatever you do to the council, you are improving the progress in the Pine Hills community. Not only the Pine Hills community, but for greater Orlando. Because a lot of you all don't live in Pine Hills, but tonight you benefited from this platform that came to you from the Pine Hills Community Council. So again, thank you tonight for this meeting. I'm excited. I look forward to seeing all of you all on July the 14th. If you don't have your tickets, get your tickets. They're on the website. Again, it's at pinehills.info. Tickets are only $15. If you want to buy a group of tickets, you can buy 10 tickets for $125. That's a $25 savings. So come on in and support Pine Hills. Again, thank you, Zoom participants, and thank you, our Facebook followers and our Facebook friends, and thank you for joining us tonight. God bless you. Good night.